So let's dive deep into one of the most deceptive myths that we've been sold. What is that? That is that you need to be ready before you begin. You need to be ready before you begin. This is an idea that's held us hostage, captive, however you want to say it. I don't care if it's entrepreneurs or writers or healers or visionaries. We wait, we tweak, and we plan endlessly. All the while, the world waits for our gifts. And here's the real story. Readiness is actually a byproduct of action. It's not a prerequisite for action. It is a byproduct of action. Look back at every major leap that humanity has taken. The Wright brothers, for example, they were not ready to launch out on their first flight. They failed many times before they succeeded. Steve Jobs was not ready when he pitched his idea to Apple. He was not well received at all. Even biblical figures doubted themselves very deeply. Moses, for example, doubted himself very deeply, but the calling was bigger than their comfort. Perfectionism whispers lies such as, it's not good enough, you're not ready, they'll judge you, wait till it's better, this is not the right time. But that waiting cost us. It costs you. It costs impact, income, and alignment. Here, we don't teach launching inspired perfection. We teach launching inspired imperfection. We believe in beginning before you believe, actually. Because when you step into action, the universe meets you with clarity, with confidence, with confirmation, with adjustments, with alignment. That's what this episode is about. Start before you're ready. So many of you I know have entrepreneurial spirits, and you want to be on your own. You want the freedom of creation, the freedom of what I call creation. What does that mean? That means you're not dependent upon a biweekly stipend or some sort of approval from, a boss or a coworker. You're creating from your inner best and giving it to the world, and you're being compensated handsomely to do so. But the confidence and the security comes from your creation. You, because you are a creator. I remember years ago when I first started podcasting, I had a different podcast at the time, and I had a mentor, and he would say, just start. Just start. You're not going to be good. You're going to make a lot of mistakes, but you won't get good until you start. You won't hear yourself until you actually have a podcast. Go, do, record. You're not a podcaster until you actually start recording. And he was right. I learned so much over time. And yes, if I listen back to those early podcasts, I some level of trepidation there. But at the end of the day, I can't get to where I'm going unless I actually put one foot in front of the other. So today we're going to encourage you to just start. Start before you're ready. Your dream awaits you. And more importantly, your community, the world, the universe is waiting for those gifts. So don't wait until it's perfect. Start before you're ready. That's what we're talking about today on ReThink Podcast. Thank you guys so much, for joining us today. We are on day 17 of our 30 days manifestation and monetization. This is our path. This is our guide to creating revenue around our passion, the things that we love to do. We are 17 days in. We had a lot of good information so far. Hopefully you guys are keeping up with the podcast. Please continue to send me notes and emails and text messages about how you're liking the podcast. And if there's anything that we can go over, any questions we can answer, any information that we haven't provided that perhaps you say, hey, I got a question about this. What about this? We'll be very glad to look into it. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to share this podcast with someone that you care about, someone that you think can benefit from it. It doesn't necessarily have to be the series. That's fine. But pick your favorite podcast. Over the 4 or 5 years we've been doing this, maybe you have a favorite. Share with a family member, friend, a loved one, or associate, someone that you care about, someone that you believe this information can positively impact their lives. If you're new to the podcast, welcome aboard. You got some catching up to do. Listen to this podcast and go back, begin the series. Make sure you sign up and subscribe and like and do all that stuff. Don't forget who we are and where we are. And our folks, long timers, old heads, thank you for continuing to support ReThink Podcast. From the heart, I appreciate it. Let's rock and roll. What is the opportunity before us today? What are we missing out on by not starting? What are we missing out on by not starting? Well, number one, you're going to forfeit when you wait for perfection. You're forfeiting when you're waiting for perfection is visibility and impact. You're forfeiting visibility and impact. Here's what it looks like. Stagnation, there's a fear loop, and a comparison spiral. The stagnation, your dreams sit. They sit in this like, you ever been on an airplane and you're on the runway, but you haven't been cleared to take off and you're just sitting there? That's what your dreams are doing. They're sitting there. They're stagnant. They're ready to go. They're not perfect, but they're certainly ready to take off. And although it may be turbulent and a hard climb, at some point, unless you take off, you're never going to get to your destination. Okay, so stagnation is number one. Fear loop is number two. The longer that we delay, the louder the voice of doubt becomes in our heads. The longer we delay. And in many ways, too, because I've been guilty of this, by delaying, we're almost saying to ourselves, at least we haven't failed yet. If you delay on doing something, it's not any conclusive resolution to it. In other words, you haven't failed. So in your mind, in my mind, perhaps we're thinking, well, I'll start that tomorrow. That gives me one more day to not have failed, if that makes sense to you. Lastly, comparison spiral. You scroll, you compare, and you convince yourself that I'm not ready. This is one of the dangers of social media, quite honestly, when you lack the confidence and the security to know that you don't have to be perfect. And also, forget what other people are saying. Focus on you. If they're good or not good or false or true, it doesn't really matter. This journey is about you. The comparison or the competition, if there's any, is you against yourself. Okay? Now, imagine the opposite. This is where we want to go. You put your product out, your service out, and your stories out there, and then someone says, hey, man, that was so awesome. I really needed this. I needed this service. I needed this product. This really helped me. I can tell you from experience, every time I get positive feedback about this podcast, I feel awesome. I feel like this is exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to help someone. Matter of fact, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump right over here because I want to read this that came in from a gentleman out of Taunton, Massachusetts. Let me see if he left his name. No, he didn't leave his name. Well, yeah, his name is John from Boston. He sent this has been back in May, but I don't think I've ever mentioned this on a podcast. It's just a simple text message. He says, brother, the podcast is amazing, truly inspirational and fun to listen to. You've introduced me to so many new concepts and ideas. I'm truly appreciative. Keep punching. Love the content. John from Boston. Now listen. When you're doing content creation and someone sends you a positive note, it just energizes you to want to do more. Because from my standpoint, yes, I want to reach, thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions, but John from Boston agrees, content's good, buddy. Keep it up. And it gives me confidence to keep doing more. Because I know there's a lot of John from Bostons that don't even send a message, but they may feel the same way. And so for you, when you put your product or your service out there, put your story out there, somebody can come to you one day and say, hey, man, I really appreciate that. I don't know what I would have done without that. That really helped me, right? All right, so that's number one. Number two is you get imperfect feedback that helps you evolve. And this really is being on that path, right? Failure, the road to success is paid with failure. When you get imperfect feedback, what it is suggesting to you is ways to better align, ways to just really condense, confine, and restructure your product or your service to make it better, to create a better offer, to create it in the most excellent way. An example for me. When I was, I'm still in this social organization. It's actually my fraternity, and there was a really close. His brother was very close to me. He's since passed away. He's younger, maybe about 10 years younger than me at the time. And we would be in board meetings, and he would tell me, he says, you know what, I really want to participate more. I don't know if I'm adding, all the value that I could be adding. I really want to participate more, but it's really difficult to engage in conversations because some of you guys are pretty opinionated and boisterous and pretty seasoned in this. How do I get engaged? How do I get my opinion across? Well, what I would tell him is one of the things that you do when you bring an idea to the table is you must be brave enough to allow people to just shred it, to poke it, to pull it, to see if it breaks, to see how much integrity does your idea have. Because imagine this, if you bring a good idea to a group of really smart people that you trust, they're going to take that good idea and they can make it great. Because here's what I know. I only know what I know. I only know what I know. But if I'm smart enough to realize that, then I can begin to either seek additional information or I can seek additional support in certain areas where I know I have gaps. Also, if I'm confident enough in myself to be able to bring a product or service before a group of people that I trust and say, listen, punch holes in it. Let's make this as good as possible. And I've got to be brave enough to watch a group of people tear down my idea and build it up all over again just to see if it was good as I thought it was. So when you are building something really great, just know beforehand, people, you, a team, a task force, or a group somewhere has to really see if this thing has integrity. There's some pulling and pushing and snagging and breaking to see if this product or service is going to hold up. Why? Because when it gets to the marketplace, it needs to have been questioned. It needs to have been tested. It needs to have been rigorously tested before it gets in the hands of your end consumers to prove that your product is actually really, really good. So I said all that to say, if you get imperfect feedback, be brave enough to receive it. Receive the feedback and go in and make the enhancements and the corrections that you need to do and put it back out there again. Don't be afraid. Put it back out there again. Keep just with the knowledge, with the knowing that each time I'm making these revisions that my product or my service is getting better. Okay? Now, the next thing is create momentum. You create momentum, which builds mastery. Again, if you're able to get through number one and number two, and you are brave enough and confident enough, you're going to build momentum because you can see it getting better. You're getting more feedback. People are telling you this is better than what I thought it was. So this is actually faith in motion, and momentum always beats hesitation. All right. So how do I do all that though, Kelly? How do I do all that? Well, glad you asked, because I've got 5 steps that we can incorporate into our daily practices that can help us along our way, or along this path, 30 days to manifestation and monetization. I hope you're writing all this down, or I certainly hope you've arrested and downloaded and gotten your workbook, because that's going to help you make it through these 30 days and document it and go back and be able to really refer to your notes and know what goes where and what's going to help you on what days. Okay. All right. So, where do we start? Well, the solution. Let's start there. The solution. Let's embrace action over perfection. Let's embrace action over perfection with a 5-step launch practice. All right, here we go. You're going to make it real and you're going to make it a full plan. You need clear steps. So number 1, set a no matter what launch date. Set a no matter what launch date. Commit yourself publicly. Tell somebody that's going to hold you accountable. On such and such date, I'm going live. I'm posting my offer. I'm sharing my podcast. Whatever it is that you're doing, tell somebody that's going to hold you accountable so that you actually do it no matter what. You launch it. Accountability creates motion. So that's number 1. Number 2, define a minimal viable offer. MVO is what it's called, minimal viable offer. Strip your offer down to the most powerful core of it. What's one thing that you can teach, that you can share, that or offer that helps solve a real problem? Remember in the last podcast, we talked about solving a real problem that people have. Stop trying to build a mansion when a studio apartment will help someone right now. Stop trying to build them a mansion. They're homeless. So at this point, a studio apartment will work. You don't have to build out a whole, 30-day course. You don't start with like what I'm doing here. You can just start with just one simple PDF. One simple practice could help somebody better meditate, lose weight, be better in their relationship. It doesn't have to be a 30-day full-on course. Okay? So that's number 2, define a minimal viable offer, MVO. Number 3, use the 70% rule. So what's that? If it's more than halfway baked, it's ready. If it's more than halfway baked, it's ready. Clarity comes through feedback. You can course correct in the public. And I've done this as well. One of the reasons why I continually ask you, the audience, to reach out to us, communicate with us, is because some of you are kind enough to give us feedback specifically to things we can do better. Why is that important to me? Because I want you to listen longer. And if I can do anything that will enhance your listening experience on this podcast within reason, then I'll do it. That's why I'm asking you to do it. So you, with your entrepreneurial spirit, put your business hat on, put your boss's hat on, and say, okay, my product or service is this. I need to launch it knowing that it's incomplete and be prepared to receive feedback, knowing that it's going to make my product or service better. All right, so use the 70% rule. That's number 3. Number 4, post daily for 7 days. Now, we're talking social media here, not to be perfect, but to be present. It is the idea of being present and beginning to build and communicate and share with your audience. So share your journey, share the lesson, share the story, and of course, share the offer. Let people see you. Since one of the things that some of us, because if we're introverted and we've never done this before, it can be really difficult to get out in front of the camera and begin to talk in a positive way about ourselves, about our product, and about our service. But it is necessary. It is necessary. What did I tell you yesterday on the last podcast? I can give you example after example of people that I buy from or people that I communicate with via YouTube and other social media that I really like. For example, the Disney stuff I was telling you about. There's so many Disney curators out there as it relates to product and content. So I only listen to like 2 of them, but there are hundreds of them. Why? It's because I've gravitated toward these people's personalities. Why? Because they are brave enough to get in front of the camera. So you got to think about that. Visibility can magnify your opportunity, and it draws people. People are really drawn to you. People are really drawn to you. And then lastly, celebrate action. Celebrate action, not outcome. Don't measure your success by sales and likes and all that stuff yet. Measure it by your movement. Each step dissolves fear. Each post builds muscle, and each offer plants a seed. Here's the real secret. Confidence is a result, not a requirement. Confidence is a result of you doing your stuff every day. You feel more confident on day 10 than you did on day 1. I'm telling you that from experience. I felt way more confident in year 2 than I did in year 1. And then in year 4, it's miles and miles of difference. And I can just tell the way that I can hone the microphone now, and I can speak so much more clearly and with confidence. And I know that resonates and comes across. Why? Because I listen to podcasts myself, and it makes a difference when I know people know what they're talking about. The podcaster is reading or if they are talking to me. And that makes a big, big difference. Okay. You'll be clear. You'll feel clearer after you launch, not before. So take the steps. Launch, even if it's messy. The world's not waiting for perfection. Like I said before, it is waiting on you and your gifts. So let's not dally around. Let's get out there and let's make some things happen. Now, like I said before, one of the things that I did initially was I waited. I was researching and I was doing a lot of stuff, or at least telling myself I was doing these things because it was necessary. I was being very practical in my mind. But at the end of the day, it was my mentor who said, yeah, just start. Just start. You're not going to get good until you start. Until you begin to make mistakes, until you begin to fail, you're not going to get really good. And if you can embrace that, I don't care if you have a product or if you have a service, if you're content creating, until you start making some mistakes and start seeing and hearing the things that you need to see and getting the feedback, you're not going to get really, really good. Okay? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go back and listen to the podcast all over again, because there's always a lot that we miss on the first go around. And I want you to really be intentional about your next steps. I want you to really today to set that no matter what launch date. Go ahead and set it today. What's keeping you from doing that? Set it right now. Even when you go back and listen to the podcast, go ahead and have it set, and then get ready to launch on that date. Okay? Make yourself accountable. Tell somebody that you know and trust that this is what I'm doing and this is the date I'm doing. And I want you to hold me accountable. All right? So I want you to start, and I know you'll be successful. And tomorrow we're going to be back. Let me pull up the schedule real quick so I can tell you what we're talking about tomorrow. Here we are. Tomorrow's day 18. Turn one idea into 5 streams of income. It's getting good. So I want you to be here with us tomorrow. Day 18. Turn one idea into 5 streams of income. Thank you guys so much. I will see you tomorrow.